Alright, what's going on, everybody? Here's this week's weekly Nightfall. It's the Devil's Lair. And I'm going with Void Titan again just because I was having a lot of fun on the Witch Queen campaign this week. We got the same modifiers, Attrition. And the daily modifier for this Nightfall today, or yesterday when I did this run and recorded it, was Cosmic Superconductors, which is just kind of a meh modifier. If anything, it's not great. It doesn't. I mean, you get your super back faster. That's all it does. But at the same time, just like lightning crystals, it increases the damage that you take from all elemental sources. I think with lightning crystals, it increases the damage you take from arc and stasis, and from cosmic superconductors, you take more elemental damage all around. And attrition is on as well. So I'm gonna have to go pick up those walls of light to recover healing. Otherwise, I'm relying on my void overshield from Bastion or offensive bulwark. I can never remember which one does what. I need to do a better job memorizing that stuff. I'm also using magnetic grenades with Echo of Undermining, so that way I can easily stick overloads and barriers, including the servitors, because there's a lot of servitors in this mission, and as their aerial type of enemies, magnetic grenade just works really well. Like if you're doing this on solar, I'd use a fusion grenade, but I'm on void, so, and I don't really ever use magnetic grenades, so it's kind of fun to change it up. And it actually worked really well, because I am using explosive light on hothead with high energy fire. My bow is producing orbs of power, and it's also producing elemental wells. So the wells that I pick up are charging me with light, and I believe my orbs are as well. And my dog is scratching at the door, so give me 1 sec. Alright, sorry about that. So, as I was saying, picking up orbs of power is giving me explosive light on hothead, and it's charging me with light, and so are the elemental wells. So if I get a non-matching shield, like a solar shielded wizard, especially the yellow bars, then I can easily stick them with a magnetic grenade. Right, that's another thing. It's not just the servitors that are floating enemies; it's also the wizards. So other grenades, and now my other dog is whining at the door. Give me another second. Sorry about that. All right, so my magnetic grenades are catching all the floating enemies because I'm just sticking them with it. And then you'll see how fast it takes out like this overload and the last barrier. Once I get a stun off on them and stick them with one grenade, that does damage. They're weakened. Then I fire a rocket and they're dead. So I'm just nuking all the champs, no problem whatsoever. And because I'm using double primary weapons, I'm getting more heavy ammo. And actually, I could have been a lot more liberal with my heavy ammo. I could have spammed a lot more rockets, but I always tend to edge on the conservative side when using it. I'm not doing speed runs, and I'm just trying to get the mission done safely and make sure that I have enough ammo for when I really need it. So this area here, it is sometimes a good idea to leave up some Hive and some Fallen so that they can fight each other. And essentially they're helping you out. But I've got those two floating yellow bar wizards, and even though I can stick them with a magnetic grenade, as I was just saying, and weaken them, they are still pretty tanky. So it's just quicker. If you got a super, that's when I use it. There's 2 phases of solar shielded yellow bar wizards in this encounter, and I use super on both of them. Why not? Cosmic Superconductors is active, so and what else am I going to use my super for anyway? So that is just ticking away at all these enemies. Once it's clear, then you can go scan your ghost, and that'll start the next wave of enemies. Now I didn't use, I wanted to use volatile rounds on Le Monarch, as I did in my previous video, the ghosts. Just because kind of like the last mission, Le Monarch is my bread and butter for this build, for this mission, so I wanted to utilize it to its full capacity. So the only thing I'm really missing out on is volatile rounds, but that's okay. Like my magnetic grenades, they're not so much to kill enemies as they are to weaken them. So if I was running something like, if I was using suppressor grenades where I'm throwing it into a pile of adds where it's pretty much guaranteed to get at least 1 or 2 kills, then I can proc volatile rounds more easily. Same thing with Vortex grenades. Obviously, it's, they're ad clearing machines. You're always guaranteed to get some kills with Vortex grenades, and then it's an easy way to proc volatile rounds. And I was limited on fragments, of course, because I was padding my stats. I wanted 100 discipline, 100 resilience. Strength wasn't too big of a deal, but with the heavy penalty that you have to pay to use Echo of Undermining, because that does -20 to your discipline stat, I also decided to use Echo of Domineering to counter that with another +10 discipline. So in the end I was netting -10 discipline overall. And then my other, I believe I was using Echo of Leeching, the one that gives you +10 resilience and heals you on melee kills, which is just a I was using it, of course, to pad my resilience stats, and so to maintain my tier 10 resilience and discipline. But it's actually also a very useful fragment to use when attrition is the modifier. Especially if my overshields weren't, if I wasn't getting overshields from my barricades. But I've got both, so attrition really didn't play a huge factor for me in this mission. Like if I was using arc, I would have had to do a lot more to heal. And I've found this season, whenever attrition is the modifier or togetherness, Striker Titan is just not a great choice, because you have to you have no healing or shielding on demand like you do with Solar Titan or Void Titan, and even Stasis, because you can get overshields from breaking your crystals. But like, and then on hunters can go invis and recover if they really need. Warlocks can just drop a healing rift. So it's really kind of, Striker is not a great choice for lack of healing modifiers. You can, of course, use your charged melee to heal yourself with knockout, but that's situational. You need an enemy there, and you need to do it while you're low on health, so it's a risky play. And then, of course, you can do things with your mods to get healing too. Like you can run recuperation, so when you pick up orbs of power, you get instant healing. You can run Well of Life with Explosive Wellmaker, but that's also situational. You have to get multi-kills with explosive damage to get a Solar Well. and then you got to go pick up the solar well. So it's not, there's nothing reliable for Arc Titan to get healing. Overall, attrition is not as tough as togetherness because you have those wells of light, those white elemental well type things. You go pick those up, and that's how you get your healing. So attrition isn't as bad as togetherness, at least as far as doing things solo. Because togetherness, you have no teammates to regen your health, so you're by yourself and you got no way to heal. But yeah, Void Titan is easy. Like, you do have to pay attention though, because sometimes, because you're more than you're not relying so much on health regen as you are on overshields. So whenever you leave so if you're low on health and you drop a barricade, then you get an overshield. Your overshield will constantly regenerate while you're standing next to your barricade. But as soon as you leave your barricade, your overshield is going to deplete, and that's going to leave you with no health. So you do have to pay attention. And this has happened a lot too. Like if I use bubble, because if you use bubble, you go inside your bubble. Obviously, you've got a powerful overshield. But as soon as you leave your bubble, your overshield goes away, and then if you don't have any health, it's like you're like one shot. So it's like you peek out of your bubble and boom, you're dead. And so I'm using the, what is it called, Sentinel Shield, or I'm using the roaming super for this mission, as I did for the last mission. You get that super resilience while it's active, and B, it was how I planned on taking out solar shielded yellow bar wizards, and any tethering that barrier servitors were going to be doing. So like, for example, in the next encounter, there's a barrier servitor right as you walk out into the battlefield with the Brigs and the Walker, and there's a whole bunch of snipers. So you have to take out the snipers, and the barrier tends to want to hide behind cover, so it's a tricky situation. So that's also a good time to use your super. Just pop it right away as soon as you get out there, and take out all the potential enemies that the barrier can tether, and then you've isolated the barrier. You have no more snipers shooting you, and it's easy to take out the barrier. Not only that, but the super for Void Titan is pretty versatile, because you've got your melee ability, and you could throw your shields. So that means I can hit like aerial enemies as well, or ranged. I could use it at range. So I actually use it on the boss as well, on Sepiks Prime. So I didn't know this really with magnetic grenades, because I just haven't used them very much, so I didn't pay too much attention. But they're what they essentially are is they're like a Starfire Protocol fusion grenade, which is why they have a longer cooldown than fusion grenades. Like on solar, fusion grenades have a minute and I think minute 15 cooldown. The standard fusion grenades, like, they explode once, but with the exotic piece for Warlock, Starfire Protocol, sorry, not Starfire Protocol, it's actually just the Touch of Flame aspect that Warlock gets, I think. I have to double check, but either way, Warlock has access to fusion grenades that explode twice. Yeah, it's the aspect Touch of Flame. Starfire Protocol just gives you an extra fusion grenade, so you have 2. But Touch of Flame Aspect causes fusion grenades to explode twice. So with magnetic grenades, you might be like, well, why is this sticky grenade have a 2-minute cooldown as opposed to a minute 15 like fusion? Like, why would I ever want to use that? It's obviously not as good. Plus, never mind the fact that you've got Vortex grenades, which are kind of the go-to grenade for Void. But the reason it's not bad, that 2-minute cooldown on the magnetic grenades, is because they're pretty powerful. They explode twice, just like Touch of Flame fusion grenades for Warlock. And so look, I'm charged with light. I most likely had explosive light on Hothead there. I weakened him with that magnetic grenade, and you know, it just melts these Brigs. So for this encounter, what I like to do is take out the barrier first, as I explained, by using my super to get rid of the adds that he'd tether. And then focus the 2 Brigs without exposing myself too much to the front portion of the battlefield, because that walker is gonna try to take shots on you as well. And the last thing you need is the walker shooting you and the Brigs. So I just play behind this building here and try and bait the Brigs off to the sides so that I can isolate them and then take them out without worrying about all the other snipers. And those snipers are sneaky. Like these ones are always stuck behind the trees here. You can barely see them, and you're just getting shot, and it's like, where did that come from? Well, it's those Vandals there, so you really got to watch out for them. So then there's going to be 1 barrier, and there's several overloads. But this walker, so a linear fusion rifle is actually a really good choice for this mission as well, because you could take out the walker very fast, and linear fusions are really good at range as well because of the precision. Whereas rockets, you know, it's not so bad with the walker, because the walker is just a giant target that's sitting still. But obviously, if you're gonna fight like a champion or whatever from range, rocket launcher is not the best choice. So look at that weakening grenade, like that. It's the tick damage. So the tick damage from Le Monarch, while the target is weakened, is just like, does insane damage over time. And so what you do with this walker is, once you break his legs, you like break 1 or 2 legs, and then he'll go into this disabled phase where you can't hit crits on him anymore, except for on top of his head. And you can barely even see it, but there is a red crit spot that opens up there. And that's it. So now the walker's down, so now I can worry about all the other adds and working my way up to the champions. But obviously you still got to play it careful, so you just work your way slowly in from range and close the distance, taking out 1 champion at a time, and especially the Vandal snipers. So right side here is okay, but once I push up, I go left side, because there's a decent amount of cover and you're on level playing field with the enemies. Like if you play this right side over here, I don't know if I just said right or left, but after this I meant to say I go left, because this right side here, there's a lot of dips, so you're kind of on low ground and there's not as much convenient cover. But if you go left, there's some decent cover and you're not on low ground, you're at least on level playing field. So Makes it easier to see where all your enemies are and take them out accordingly. Sniper, of course, would also be a good choice for this mission and this encounter especially. But I was having fun with Hothead. Its explosive light is really growing on me, and I like using harmonic siphon. So, not to mention that orbs of power are kind of buggy. So like if you want, there's certain fragments and aspects and mods where you get benefits from picking up orbs of power, you know, other than just recharging your super, but they don't work if your super energy is full. So if you wanted to run recuperation to pick up healing for when a mission like this has attrition on, if your super is full, you're not going to be able to pick it up. Like, you'll run over the orbits, it's not going to do anything, which is really annoying. I wish they would fix it. But there's a little trick. If you're using an explosive light rocket launcher, it'll let you pick up orbs even if your super energy is full. So yeah, it's a good way to do it. Also, I think with Star Eater scales on Hunter, which I use frequently for doing like boss DPS and raids and dungeons and stuff. If your super energy is full and you go to pick up orbs to get Feast of Light, it'll always pick them up, which means it'll proc your other orbs of power based mods and fragments, etc. So like that's another thing with the Devour fragment for Void, where if you pick up an orb of power, you get Devour. Well, yeah, it just doesn't work if your super energy is full, which makes the fragment completely useless unless you go out of your way to use an explosive light rocket launcher, or you're using Star Eater scales, and maybe there's some other ways that you can do it. But yeah, it's I don't think it's intentional that Bungie's left it that way, so it'd be nice if they fixed it. Otherwise they should state for like the fragment or the mods, it should have a disclaimer. It doesn't work if your super's full, because that's literally the case. And if you're doing you know, most of the time you're not spending your super every single time it's replenished. Like, most people hang on to their super for when it's needed. So it's just not wise to spend your super as soon as it's full when it's not really a good time to use your super, just so that you can pick up orbs of power again. So also on Le Monarch, I'm using elemental armaments so that it can produce void wells. I'm using harmonic siphon, as I stated already, to produce orbs of power, and I'm also using bow reloader. And I've got my rally barricade up constantly, so that's why I'm able to shoot quickly with Le Monarch. Like, without bow reloader and rally barricade, you'd probably notice that it's quite a bit slower. But for as far as bows go, like, Le Monarch's pretty good and has pretty good draw time and reload speed, so I mean, it's not a huge deal. But I wanted, like I said, I wanted to use Le Monarch as my my bread and butter type weapon for this mission, so I wanted to maximize its potential as much as I could. But obviously, like I said, I wasn't using volatile rounds, which was a little bit too bad. But you know, like I said, because I'm using the magnetic grenades, it's just not as easy to proc Devour If I was using an ad clearing grenade, then it would be. Then Le Monarch would be like, it would be maxed to its potential. Also, I could have used Font of Might to get a 25% weapon damage bonus on my void weapons. But in this mission, I decided to go with high energy fire. It's still good, 20%. You know, it's barely noticeable, the difference. Like, they're both very good. I don't remember specifically why I used high. Oh right, I used high energy fire because I wanted to take advantage of it on my rocket launcher as well. So Font of Might doesn't help me on anything but Le Monarch because that's the only void weapon I'm using. So that's the downside to Font of Might. You know, aside from the fact that it's on a limited timer and you have to pick up a well to proc it. You know, with high energy fire, it applies as long as you have stacks of charge with light. It'll last for as long as you want, you know, until you kill an enemy with your weapon. But that damage buff applies to all your weapons. I've stated in a previous video that because I wanted to use Le Monarch so much, I was benefiting from having auto-loading holster on my other weapons. So that way I'm not stuck on my other weapons for longer than necessary. I can just use them when I need them, and then stow them and get straight back onto Le Monarch. So my hothead has auto-loading, and my Tears of Contrition scout rifle also does. Which is perfect because it also means I never have to reload when I'm taking care of barrier champions. So I just pull Tears of Contrition out. The only time I ever do it is when there's a barrier champion and he's about to put a shield up. Just shoot him a couple times with my scout, stow it, and straight back onto a Le Monarch or my hothead and throw a grenade, whatever. So you just have less downtime overall because you're reloading less. So you may have noticed at the start of this fight, as soon as you take care of the champion, as soon as you take care of all the ads, and it's just the boss, he's gonna take his shield down, so he won't be immune. So you want to wait for it. You want to prep yourself. Make sure you have a grenade ready. Make sure you're ready to dump some heavy ammo into him, because as soon as that immunity shield comes down, that's when you got to stick him, because he's going to teleport away. So he took a shield down. I stuck him with a magnetic grenade. He's weak. Explosive light hothead, and then you know, a big chunk of his health is gone. And that'll happen for each phase of immunity. I try to do the same thing. It's easy to gauge when the next phase, when he's going to take his shield down next, because I mean, you're going to have a wave of ads between each phase of the boss's health, but he's also got those other servitors that are tethering him. He's got those 4 void shielded servers around him. When you take the last servitor down that he's tethered to, that's when the boss is going to come forward, and he will take his immunity shield down, and you'll be able to do the same thing as as I just mentioned. You know, do your damage right then and there as much as you can. So that was a risky rocket there, but I've got lots of heavy kicking around. But yeah, usually you want to wait for any enemies that teleport. You want to wait until they've teleported to fire, especially with like rockets where you have limited ammo. You don't want to waste rockets. Like, at least with a linear you know, you could afford to miss a couple shots because you've got like, you know, 20 in reserves or whatever. But unless you're using field prep on a rocket launcher, you've only got 7 rockets max capacity. So generally, if you see an enemy that teleports, just hold off on the trigger until they've teleported and then immediately take that opportunity. Otherwise, you'll miss a lot of shots and get frustrated. These void shielded yellow bar fallen captains are bad for it too. So are the overloads, but at least with the overloads you can stun them. So I pretty much always use rally barricade with Sentinel Titan. There's just really not any need to use a tower and barricade, in my opinion, because I find the enemies aren't very good at hitting you on a head glitch. So rally barricade, yeah, your head is exposed to the enemy, but they're not good at hitting crits on you. So that, I don't know if people call it a head glitch, but in other games, that's what it would be called. So if you see an enemy that's like playing a piece of cover and you know just their head is exposed, what they're doing is they're playing a head glitch. Even though it's not technically a glitch, it's just, you know, common sense tactics in any first-person shooter, and probably in real life too. Do you go and stand out in the open with no cover for your enemy to have like a wide open shot on you, or do you play a piece of cover and minimize your yourself as a target to them? So yeah, so it's sometimes playing a head glitch feels risky because it's like, oh, my head's exposed. It's not so much with Destiny, but like other first-person shooters, and probably well, maybe with Destiny, like on Crucible PvP. So yeah, it feels counterintuitive just have your head exposed, so that's the only target for the enemy. But you know, your head is like 15% of the rest of your body as far as the target goes, so it's safer to play a head glitch. But yeah, but aside from that, with the void barricade, you get that overshield that's constantly regenerating while you're standing behind the barricade. So it's almost like you're immune when you've got a barricade and an overshield charging, at least on master difficulty. There are instances where you can get melted by like snipers and stuff, so you still have to move around and make yourself a hard target. But I think rally barricades is the way to go. Plus, it's a short cooldown, you know, 32 seconds compared to 40 seconds. With a towering barricade, you don't have. I mean, you have a big piece of cover, obviously. But if you want to shoot the enemy, you got to go stand to the side of your barricade and expose half your body at the very minimum. Usually your full body. So yeah, you don't have the same tactic as you do with a rally barricade. Also, rally barricades give you more benefits than tower barricades. Like, you get faster reload speed, which is really good. And also, if you crouch behind your rally barricade, you know, and the enemy's on level playing field, they don't have a shot at you at all. And every time you go to aim and shoot, your character will automatically stand up and shoot and go back down. So you can do that tactic too behind a rally barricade. It's just stay crouched the whole time. Whenever you go to aim and shoot, you'll pop up, and then when you take your aim down, you'll crouch back down automatically. So you can do that. I don't usually do it. Excuse me. I don't usually do that, just because I feel like I don't have as much control over my character. And like I said, the enemies aren't that good at hitting you on the head glitch. Even when you're standing up, you got that overshield. So there I missed my rocket, but fortunately the boss was close to that wall, so splash damage actually still did a ton of damage to him. So here's where I popped my super, and I thought I was gonna have him here. He like hardly has any health, but unfortunately this didn't kill him, and then I got to deal with this whole wave of ads. So the run could have been over there, could have been over right there. I think if I timed my super just a little bit better, weakened them just a little bit more. But yeah, so now I got to deal with this wave here. Of course, I probably could have stayed out there in the open and risked it, you know, fired off a couple shots. But why risk it right at the end? I had actually already died twice in this boss fight at the end, so, which was frustrating because it's not the shortest run, at least not for me. You know, this is only the second week where I'm doing Devil's Lair, trying to do solo flawless on it. I do remember this strike though pretty well from Destiny 1, but you know, Destiny 1 was a different game than Destiny 2. You know, aesthetically this whole strike looks the same. You know, the boss is familiar and everything, but you know, mechanics and the abilities and everything's different. So just remembering this from Destiny 1 is not going to help you do a solo flawless run on master difficulty on this, let alone grandmaster, of course. So just playing it safe, and then next time this strike comes around, if I don't do it again this week, you know, I'm sure I'll get faster at it. All right, so I think there's just one more arc shielded captain. He's gonna teleport like every 2 seconds, except for when I wait for him to teleport. There we go. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. What's next week? All I have left to do is Glassway for to get my Conquer seal. But yeah, it's double rewards. So I mean, if you do Master, like, you're gonna get tons of mats, Senate shards, exotics. So you can farm it on Master, no problem. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like or a subscription, and comment what you think in the comment section. I'd be happy to respond and see what you got to say. Take care.